In this video, you're going to learn to build a very simple RESTful API using the Laravel framework. We're also going to take a look at a VS Code extension that allows you to very easily test your API endpoints. So you can not only build your API in your editor, you can also test it there. If you guys want the source code for the project, it'll be available at GitHub, so feel free to clone it, fork it, and update it for your own project. Okay, so I have a fresh installation of Laravel, and if I head on over to my browser, it's accessible through this URL, and you can see that the Laravel version is 8.21. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is open up our .env file and change the database credentials. So I'm going to say RESTful API as the database name. For the user, I'm going to say root, and for the password, secret. If I save this file and open up my terminal, I need to actually create the MySQL database. So MySQL-u root-p, enter in my password, and I can run the query create database, and the name of the database is RESTful API. And let me exit out of there, and now I can run PHP artisan migrate. Cool. Okay, so now we need a model. So we can create a new model using this command, PHP artisan make model, and the name of the model is going to be called post, and we will also need the migration files. This will create the model as well as the migration file. So let me open up the migration file. It's called create posts table. In here we basically define the database columns. So what we need is a string of title and a long text of content. So a blog post in our system consists of a title and a content. Okay, so that's what happens when you run this migration. It creates a posts table with these fields, and when you reverse the migration, it drops this table. So next we need to run this migration. We can do that using PHP artisan migrate. Right, so now we can actually get started creating the various routes for our API. So let me open up the sidebar and open the routes and api.php file. In here is where you can register API routes for your application. So I'm just going to add a new route, and it's going to be called /posts, and what this will do is basically return all the posts, but we need to import this post up at the top. So use app models post. So this post Eloquent model lives in app models and post.php. So now we can actually test this in the browser. So one thing to take note of is that when you register routes in api.php, the routes, all the routes are namespaced under API. So it's going to be your website /API/ whatever you registered, so /posts. And you can see it returns an empty array because there are no posts in the database. So if we wanted to create a new post, we can PHP artisan tinker and then say app. We can say post equal new post, and then say post title equals my new post. The post content equals my post content, and then say post save. Okay, now if we refresh the page, you can see a new post has been created. Next we need another route to actually create a new post. So route is going to be a post request to posts, and what this will do is basically run post create and then provide the list of the columns. So it's going to be title, So what do you want the title to be? We can just say request title, so it will get the title field from the request body, and then we can say content, and this is going to be the content. So this won't work just yet, and we can try this. And actually, to try this, we can use something like Postman, or we can use VS Code extensions. Let me open up extensions, and it's called REST client, and you need to install it. I have it installed already. So the way it works is you create a new file and you save it as .http. I'm just going to put it on the desktop. So test.http. I'm gonna replace that. This is the syntax you can use. You can say get and then the URL, which is this one, right? And then you say HTTP 1.1, and that's it. And you can say VS Code will add this link or a button that says send request, and when you click that, you can say the response will be response, and the headers will be displayed here. Now you can also do post, but before you write another, you need to type these 3 hash symbols. So next you can say post and HTTP RESTful API .test API posts HTTP 1.1, and then you can provide any headers. So it's going to be content type application/JSON, and then you can provide the JSON data. So it's going to be title, it's going to be my new title, that one already exists, so we can say my second title. And for the content, I can say my second content. Let me save that and send request. Okay, so it fails. It says mass assignment exception. And what's happening is Laravel is trying to protect you against certain type of attacks. And so the way to fix this is to go to your model. So it's post.php, and just add a protected fillable property and say, hey, I can mass assign title and content. So you can save that and run that again. Okay, so title cannot be null. Oh, this is the wrong JSON format. This happens a lot if you constantly switch between JavaScript and PHP. Let me send this request again. As you can see, the new post has been created. But what happens if you don't have a title, for instance? It's gonna fail and say, hey, the title cannot be null. So the way to fix this is to actually use validation. So you can say request validate, and then provide all the validation fields. And so you can say title is required as well as content. So now if we send the request, what happens is it tries to redirect you, but if you're using Ajax, it will send you the appropriate response that a title field is required or whatever. The next step is so now we can get all the posts, and we can create a new post. Let me put title and say my third title. And let me try that again just to see if it's working properly, and it is. So now we've created a route to get all the posts, and we've created a route to create a new post. Now we need a route to update a post, so that needs to be put and put /post, and then here we need to provide the ID. And so we can say post function. So this ID will be available here, so we can say $ID, and in here we can say post equal post find or fail, and then grab the ID. but but Laravel actually makes it even easier for you. If you say post and then use post here and type in that we're expecting an eloquent model, but what it does is it automatically does this for you and returns the post in your argument. So all you gotta do is say post update and the very same thing. Title is request title and content. You can save this, but if you want the validation as well, you can just copy paste this. Cool. I'm missing a semicolon here. So let me save that. Okay, so now it's time to test this. So we'll just say put, and actually before we can create a new one, we need the 3 hash symbols, and then we can say put http RESTful API .test API posts, and then we need to provide a post ID. So let's say that we want to edit the third post, so we'll say 3, and then we need to provide content type, and content type is application/JSON, and let's provide a title. So it's gonna be my third title, and I'm just gonna say updated, and same for content, and let me save that and send the request. So it doesn't return anything, but if you get all the posts, you can see that the third one is updated. If you want to return something, you can just say okay, return, or you can just save this as a variable. It'll return true or false depending on whether or not the update was successful or not. We can grab that variable and then just return and say success equals success. So it'll say success equals true if the update was successful, and it'll say success equals false if the update was not successful. So let's try that again. Oh, actually this will just create a new post. We need this one, so send request and say success equals true. Alright, so we've successfully created endpoint to create to get all posts, to create new posts, and to update an existing post, and now we need one to actually delete the post. So that needs to be route delete /post / the ID of the post. So we're gonna do the exact same thing and grab that from up here. So we'll say post, and we can say post delete, and then you can save that here as well, and then say return and success equals true. And you can obviously update the response however you want, but I'm just gonna stick with this format. Okay, so to test this, let's add another one, delete, and say http RESTful API.test API posts. And actually, you know what, before we do that, let's just grab all the posts and see. Okay, so let's delete this one because it says ID 4 and it's it just says my third title. So let's remove that one. Delete http RESTful API posts 4. Okay. Well, I guess we don't need the HTTP after all, so we can just say this. If you send the request, okay, it fails. Oh, it needs to be RESTful API. Sorry about that. Let's send the request again and say success equals true. And so just to make sure, let's grab all the posts, and you can see the fourth one isn't there anymore. Everything's working perfectly. So we can get all the posts, create a new post, update an existing one, and delete any posts. So now we can just leave it at that. If that's the extent of your application, that's fine. But let's actually extract the controller, because more often than not, you don't want this in your routes file. I'm going to generate a new controller, say make controller, let's say Posts API controller. So controller was created successfully. Let's open up that controller, Posts controller, Posts API controller, and let's add a public function index. And say return post all. Here's your post all. And in order to replace this, we have to say Posts API controller class, and then the action name, which is index. And so let's import that at the top. App HTTP controllers and Posts API controller. Let's save that, and I think that should work. Let's try it out. So test.http, let's go up here and send the request. Okay, so if I send the request to /posts to get all the posts, it says controller not found. So class app HTTP controllers post not found. So because we imported the wrong thing. So let's go up here. No, because we didn't import the right class, right model in the Posts API controller. So all we need to do to fix this is say use app models and then post. Next we can start adding the other routes. So route post /posts, and this is going to be Posts API controller class, and the method is going to be called store. So if we save this, we can just copy everything from this method and delete this, go back here and say public function store, and then paste everything here, and this should work as well. And let's add the other methods before actually testing them out. So post /post, and this needs to be the put request, and the method is going to be called update. So let's copy everything from here, delete it all together, and then come here and add the method called update, and paste everything here. So we do need this post variable, so we can just type into it here, post, and grab it. Finally, let's do the same thing for delete. It's going to be called public function destroy, and we need the post variable, and instead of this closure here, we can just replace it by Posts API controller class and then the destroy method. Let's save that, and let's go ahead and try testing all of these out. So if we add a new post, select send request, and it's created. So let's update this route. So post/4 my brand new title updated. So let me send a request and says success true, and finally let's just delete this one. So for delete, and that will say true. And if we grab all the posts, you can see that that one is deleted.